Thank you for listening to our podcast on YouTube. We are super excited about the content coming your way.
Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of it. Welcome to the Face-to-Face Ministries podcast. I'm Kathy Little.
And I'm Melinda Wilson, and we are talking all things inner healing, true connection with Jesus, and the full benefits package of the cross. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to episode 9 of the
9.
Face-to-Face Ministries podcast. We are so glad you're here.
Yeah, we are rolling right along here. It's pretty awesome. People are actually listening too. It's amazing.
I would hope so.
I know.
And if you're not listening, then you need to listen. Of course,
Yeah.
if you're listening now, then that means that you are listening. But if you know anyone who is not listening, then please share. And we just want to get this truth, this life-giving, life-changing, revelationary truth out there to as many people as possible.
You know, it's interesting because so many people settle for one aspect of the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus, being forgiveness, but they don't understand all of the other stuff that represents. Mm-hmm. We are now at the last segment of Dawna DeSilva, that interview that we had with her. In it, she's sharing some testimonies of real life people who experienced real life, life-changing breakthrough because of this particular model. And not that it's the model, but it's what Jesus did in their lives. And so here's Dawna DeSilva. She's going to share a couple of testimonies, and we'll be wrapping up our interview with her.
A gentleman I went into I was training at his church, and he came in for a Sozo, and he said, okay, so I have a letter of resignation on my desk, and I've decided God either works or he doesn't, and you're either going to get me free or I'm going to sign the letter. And I'm like, yeah, no pressure at all. No pressure at all. So what's going on? He says, I've been stuck in a cycle of sexual pornography perversion for over 40 years as a believer and a pastor of the church. And I just realized God doesn't work. And Jesus isn't, it's not real. And so I'm up there being a total fake because I'm stuck in its addictive cycle. And when we boiled down to it, we found what the root was, which in the sense was not really applicable to sexual sin, but it was during that time that he found pornography in the barn. And when he felt too little for the job, this is a long story that I'm making really short, pornography helped him feel like a man. And so as he grew up, whenever he felt challenged or too little, he would fight until he couldn't overcome it, and he would find pornography. So he would be doing fine, and this is how the cycles of addiction are. He's doing fine. Someone would do something that would trigger him, like ask him a question like, well, why did you make that decision? Even if it's not really asking, like you did it wrong. And he'd be like, I don't know why I made that decision. Maybe I just not equipped to do this. And he would go to pornography, and then he would feel okay, I'm big, I'm really a man. And then he'd be the shame of the sin, and then the repentance, and the freedom, and the cycle. And he's like, because he's stuck in a cycle, he's like, well, Jesus doesn't work. And that is so not true. The cycle is there because you haven't found the root of why the addiction is there. And so we were able to find the root, and it was fun because he sat back and he goes, oh, he says, it's finally going to be a fair fight because we found the reason for the lie, for the tree. We uprooted the tree. He called me 5 years later, and he said, do you remember me? And I said, yeah. And he said, I have to tell you, I've never struggled with pornography since. One Sozo, one session. Now, does that happen for everyone? No, but it happened for him. And there is a reason why we're stuck in our cycles of dysfunction, and we can pick that fruit as much as we want, but it's going to bear bad fruit unless we get rid of the bad tree. So the other one, as a woman who came in, she actually had been trained by me in Sozo, and she had Sozo at her church, and she made an appointment to see me, and it takes a long time. I seldom see people anymore because I'm traveling so much, but she came in to see me. I did it as a favor because I knew her, and I said, what's going on? She goes, I've stayed free of all of these issues. Everything is great, but there's this one issue I cannot get free from. And I'm like, this is a Sozo in yourself. Can you do it? And I said, okay, so what is it? She said, you know what? She goes, it doesn't matter how many people tell me that they're glad I'm in the room. I just know nobody wants me in the room. And she goes, and I've asked God about it. I can't find it. I can't find out why. So I said, okay. So Jesus, where did I learn the lie that nobody wants me in the room? And she sees a picture. So this is memory work. And so she sees a memory. And she says, I'm almost 3. And I'm playing outside, and I hear all this fun and laughter going on in the house, and I want to find out what's going on. So I open the door, and then everything goes quiet. And the lie I learned was, nobody wants me in this room. And I said, well, Jesus, what's the truth? That's part of the theophostic tool that we brought in to present Jesus. And she says, oh, he said it was the day before my 3rd birthday, and they were throwing me a surprise. And they didn't want me to know about it, so they just shut up. So then I check, is this a real memory? I check by saying, do you remember your 3rd birthday? She goes, oh yeah. She goes, it was the next day. And I walked in and everyone said, surprise! And all I knew is they didn't really want me in the room. So here she is at 55, living out a lie from 3 years old. So for 52 years, it doesn't matter how many people would tell her, we're glad you're here, it wouldn't register. And what we find out now with all the brain work that people are doing is that your mind is always searching for truth. The problem is, it's searching for the truth that it believes. So in a room of 100 people, if 99 people are telling her, I'm so glad you're here, and they're hugging and laughing at her, and oh, this is so with her, and then she looks at one person who's in a grumpy mood, and they're like, her mind seeks out that one and says, oh, that's the truth. See, that agrees with my truth. And so we had to remove her truth. And her truth was, oh, I am wanted in the room. And I've believed a lie. So she said, and I'm like, okay, we're done. She goes, we cannot be done. It took months to come see you. I said, okay, so you sit there and process the rest of your memories by yourself. And I'm working away on my computer, and she's like, yeah, shoot, yeah, She gets through about 45 minutes of going through later in life, the times where she felt like nobody wanted me. And she said, you're right. Every one of those experiences come from the root of when I was 3 years old as a child. So that is so powerful. If we can get to the root, we can pull up the tree and freedom can happen, and it's a fair fight.
Actually, someone said this to me the other day. Brain science and neuroplasticity isn't in the Bible, so how is that scriptural? And I was like, well, they didn't even have like MRIs back then, so how would they even have brain science? But Sozo's, but you already did address this, because obviously Jesus wasn't doing, let's do the 4 doors now and the father ladder, come with me into my room and we'll have an appointment. But he actually really was sozoing people.
He was sozoing people, yes, absolutely. He's like, do you believe? He would say in situations, one of my sermons is there's many ways God heals. And so some of it is like, do you believe? And he heals. So it depends on your belief system. And sometimes it's like, be healed. And sometimes it's like, get out, demon. And people are healed. So there's different ways he did it. And that's why Sozo is so fun. Saved, healed, delivered in all the package. I go back to Jesus talking about the tree. Make the tree good. You can't get bad fruit from a good tree and good fruit from a bad tree. And as they've learned to picture, science can now picture thought processes in your brain. It starts as a little thought. It's like this little seed going in. It becomes, this came from Switch on Your Brain, Dr. Caroline Leaf's book, and it shows the more you think about it, it becomes like a trunk, and by the time it is a fully formed mindset, it looks just like a tree. And Jesus said 2,000 years ago, make the tree good. So it's in there. It's in there.
Yeah, that's why she says science is finally backing up scripture.
Exactly.
Because we've actually caught up with,
exactly.
like, oh yeah, now we have these tests and ways of measuring, like, it's proving the Bible.
It's proving the Bible. So I would say it's in there. Yeah. When I saw that in the book, I just went, oh, that rocks. Because that is so true, that we have to make the tree good. And Jesus knew it. Obviously he knew it, but he created us. And here, all these years later, we're actually seeing the mapping of the brain as a fully formed tree. Got to make that, it's a mindset. And God says you need to make that tree good, because it will produce bad fruit if you do not.
What is your vision for the future of Sozo?
My vision for inner healing and deliverance is that it would be in every church. Now, that would not just be Sozo, but that we would actually be a viable source. I am frustrated of all the Mideastern religions that have made their ways into Hollywood, have made their ways into, this guru and that guru and all this stuff that doesn't have the truth. And we have truth right in front of us. So my goal would be to displace, we just speak protection over that prayer, that it would just displace all the false hope people are getting from what's not a living God. That's my goal. So it's like take over the world, but not from a place of Sozo take over the world, but from a place of Jesus getting his reward. It's so frustrating to me that we can have so much going on in the world, and you can talk about Reiki, and you can talk about yoga, and you can talk about, you put in Jesus's name, and it just shuts those doors. You can't do that. You're a racist, and it just so needs to turn the tide, because we have the real answer. We have the answer, and it's Christ Jesus. I would love for everyone to get free, and for everyone to experience what it's like to hear God talk to them, and to know that I'm loved beyond loved, that he did do it at the cross, and because he did it at the cross, I can hear him, I can talk to him, and he can help me get rid of the trees inside that are bearing bad fruit, and I don't have to live in torment or trauma or disconnect.
I love hearing testimonies of how these different healing modalities actually do make a difference. It's one thing to hear about it, to talk about it, but then to hear a testimony. And I think that we will also be in the future interviewing people with testimonies, just normal everyday people like you and me. In fact, I have testimonies from inner healing that I've experienced. So it's so powerful. We hear something like a porn addiction, especially someone that's had it for 40 years, and think, how on earth?
And in full-time ministry as a pastor.
And in full-time ministry. Wow. And I think he cannot be the only one on the face of the earth that's in full-time ministry that has some sort of addiction or hidden, shameful problem that they can't seem to get free from. So this was so powerful, and showing the power of Jesus Christ.
Well, it's kind of like flipping the light on in a dark room. Once the truth is revealed, and once that guy got connected to why he was driven toward porn, it made all the difference. It totally took the power away. And the same thing with the lady who in her mid to late 50s is still thinking nobody wants to be in the room with her. But when she had the truth revealed to her and she realized, oh, it was because they wanted to surprise me, that totally is a game changer, because we have what we think is true, but it's not true. And we've partnered with a lie, and that has become our truth, but it's not the truth.
Yeah, the picture that came to my mind as we're talking about this regarding it not just being one lie, but a series of lies is like strings all connected together. And, or, if you have, like, I just think after Christmas and you've unwrapped everything and all the wrapping paper and string and tape is all kind of jumbled together. It's not just one present that was unwrapped and the wrapping paper thrown away. It's several, and they're all kind of jumbled together. But once you start unwrapping one or unraveling one, then the rest unravel and the rest lose their power. But I think that it's usually not just one lie we're believing. It's attached to several lies, because it's kind of like people who try, they lie to cover up something, and then they have to tell another lie to cover up that lie, and so on and so on. And it's not that the people are lying, it's that they're believing many lies. It's the father of lies telling lie after lie after lie. And sometimes they're so subtle that then, like she's saying, they become our truth. Then we don't know, we can't discern between what's truth and what's a lie, because I've been believing it for so long. It's been my mindset or my system of beliefs for so long, until Jesus comes and says, here's several intricate lies here you've been believing that have shaped how you think and feel and believe.
Right. And when you think about that truth or that lie, it becomes your truth. I thought it was interesting how she said that when you have that lie built in, and it is your truth, you seek out that truth because your mind is trying to align with what it believes is true. And I just think of the analogy of when you're shopping for a particular car, like you're looking for a particular color of a particular model of car, and you never noticed them on the street before, but then it's in the front of your head, and that's, you see them, you notice them everywhere. And so that's how the mind works. And man, I love Caroline Leaf too, and what she's doing to reveal that science is backing up what scripture has said. I mean, how cool is that a fully formed mindset looks like a tree? I mean, come on. That's so amazing. And Jesus said, make the tree good.
Go figure that Jesus would have had brain science in mind. Just thinking kind of as a humorous thought that Jesus could already see that MRIs and brain scans, all of that would be invented, 2,000 years later. I'm sure, maybe that wasn't in the front of his mind when he said that, but he certainly knew that that would come. And I love that truth just backs itself up. I mean,
Right.
it's going to be revealed. It will come to light, and that is what's happening. And also how important it is to, and this could be a whole nother podcast, of guarding our thoughts.
Right.
Because, you think about, sometimes we think, or I've used this terminology that, one thought comes and then all of a sudden you're in this downward spiral. That's how
Right.
I've called it. Like one anxious thought, and then, 10 minutes later, I've been marinating on this anxious thought, and it's become this full blown thing that I feel like a pit that I can't get out of. But if I had at that moment when that thought came, or that lie came, because a lie is going to produce anxiety, isn't it? But when that lie came, to actually go, I recognize that this is not a good thing right now. This is not going to produce good fruit in my
Right.
mind
Right.
and in my brain. And actually think about the impact and effect it not only has on my spirit, but on my soul and my literal brain as well.
Yeah. Well, your body too.
My body,
responds.
yes.
I mean, how many times do you, if you're fretting about something, we've talked about this, when you come into agreement with things and stewing on them and brooding and bitterness or whatever is forming, that's going to manifest itself in your physical body, because you can't separate who we are as mind, body, soul, spirit. You can't separate those things.
In the interview, I asked her what her vision is for Sozo, but really she turned that around and said, my vision for the world is inner healing. And I'm probably misquoting her now, but basically she's saying that it's not just, oh, my vision is that Sozo goes around the world. It's, my vision is that the Isaiah 61 mandate that Jesus came to set the captives free goes around the world. And that is what we are about.
Right.
Whether you use Sozo or a different type of healing model that we'll talk about in the near future, it doesn't really matter. Whatever. And even if you don't use an inner healing model, Jesus came to set the captive free, and he can use a bajillion different methodologies, and it could just be a touch of his hand and a word from his mouth,
Right.
and through us, that sets the captive free. But that's really what we are all about.
Absolutely. And she, what you didn't hear her say in the interview is from Pinky and the Brain, that her vision was to take over the world, she's teasing about that. But yeah, we want this truth to take over the world, because we want to see the church healthy. We want to see her operating in the full benefits package of the cross and resurrection of Jesus, because so many people get stuck with, well, it's forgiveness and I get to go to heaven later. Yes, and there is healing and wholeness and freedom for you today in the here and now. There's a commission for you to carry the kingdom now and to partner with Jesus in advancing his kingdom and being his hands and feet on the earth. She was talking about the Eastern religions like Reiki and yoga and all these different things, because the world is searching for truth. And the enemy's happy to counterfeit. He's really happy to counterfeit and bringing in these different things that are in the New Age arena. But we have the truth of Jesus, and the truth of Jesus will set you free. He says you'll know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Isn't that profound? Because that's what we're talking about, is replacing lies with his truth, allowing him to speak truth into what we've created as our opinion of truth, or what we've convinced ourselves is true, but allowing him to step in as the truth with a capital T. And that is what sets us free. And that is the thing that we're after here, is like, we want the truth of Jesus and the truth of who we are and what's available to us to take over the world.
And I think that is a good segue into who we're going to be talking to next, because we can get the inner healing and we can have an encounter with Jesus, but it's the ongoing intimacy with him
Right.
that he is after more than
Right.
anything,
Relationship.
even more than freeing us from our pain, and is his desire for intimacy. Yes, he wants us free from our pain. And I'm not talking about addiction. I'm talking about when we're in pain, what does he want more than anything? He wants intimacy. And our next guest in the next few podcasts is going to be Heidi Baker, who is the founder of Iris Global. And if you haven't heard of her, please just go check out Iris Global.
Yeah.
She wasn't the founder of an inner healing model per se, but everywhere she goes, she is Jesus to
Oh my
people.
gosh.
She loves
Yes.
people so well. And even in that will bring healing to people that have not experienced love. And we all have love deficit. Let's be honest. We all have a love deficit.
That's true.
And I mean, that's why we are longing for something greater than what's on this earth. Even if we have been Christians for 50 years, there is a deep longing in us, and that is for Jesus and his presence.
Right.
And she brings that, she carries it. She is, I would say, a professional lover of Jesus. So
Yeah.
it will be amazing to talk to her. We're really looking forward to sharing that with you.
Yeah, we've had this interview for a while, and I have been longing for the day to release it. It's just taken us a little time to get it out, and we have so much content for you guys. It's so much. We're just trying to get it out as fast as we can, and in a way that it can be digested. We're not going to release 30 episodes in a week. There's no time to even edit all that. But we're very excited about this next interview. So please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss it. Please subscribe.
Subscribe. Give us a 5-star rating. Write a review. That really helps for others to see. It's like, y'all, if you go on Amazon, I often will not buy something unless I have seen reviews,
Really good
positive reviews. Like if no one's written a review at all, it's like, why does it have no reviews? So please write a review on the platform wherever you listen to it and share it with your friends.
Yeah.
Help us to get the word out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we would love to have some interaction with you guys.
Please, your comments,
please
questions,
comment.
remarks.
Please just interact with us through social media. We are on Facebook as face-to-faceministries.org. We are on Instagram, Face-to-Face Men. Sign up for our monthly newsletter. You can find the sign up for that at the bottom of our homepage at face-to-faceministries.org. That's one word, no spaces, and spell out the word to, face-to-faceministries.org. We'd love to answer questions, interact with you, get some feedback, know that you're listening. I mean, we know that some people are listening, but man, we'd love to hear from you. And this whole rating and review thing, I think that might be intimidating to some people, but just go to wherever, like on iTunes, you go and listen to the podcast there. There is a way to, on the left-hand side of that page, there's 5 little grayed out stars, and you can rate the podcast with just clicking on those 5 stars, and then you can leave a review there. We've had some reviews that have started to come in. It's not scary. It's not complicated. Just look wherever you listen to your podcast and rate and review. And the reason we're asking you to do that is because you are helping us to be more visible, to be shared more, to be more visible to people who are searching for podcast content. Thank you so much for listening, and we will be back shortly. We'll have a new episode out, and we're going to introduce our friend Heidi Baker to you.
God bless. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. For more information about us and our vision, please go to face-to-faceministries.org. That's faceministries.org.
Please like, share, subscribe, rate, review. Help us
Get the word out.
There is so much more to come.